Hello, friend of Boras here, and this time for top 5 formations in FIFA 21 so far in this early stage. And this is not going to be in any specific order, just your top 5. And hopefully you can find here your favorite, because of course everybody has a different style. And we're going to include, of course, the tactics, instructions, and some in-game examples as well. First out, we're the 4-1-2-1-2, the narrow one here, and the narrow is definitely back in 21 since the through balls are so good. And counters are very effective as well. And this one is the ultimate counterattack formation. We're also going to alter this a little bit to make it look a bit different in the game and add some more width as well with some amazing instructions. And when it comes to this team here, custom tactics, you don't really have to do much in this game. You can just play balanced. It works very fine. And then you can have your here values between 5 and 6 depending on your style. But you don't have to do so much here. I think balance works fine. And also if you want to add a little bit more aggression in the defense, you could also try out here press after possession loss. But for this one, just gonna play like this, balance 6-6, and then just leave here attack on default, because we're gonna fix this with some instructions. So we play like this here. We have the strikers to get in behind, both strikers, and then to create this deadly triangle up front for the counterattacks, we're using here stay forward for the cam as well. And this is gonna be, of course, very lethal, always having 3 players staying up front. And then for the center mids, we're just gonna leave them here on default, both the left and the right one, but not for the CDM. Here comes the key for this one to create this width. We have to use here, or we don't have to use, but this is a very nice variation of the 4-1-2-1-2, drop between defenders to always have 3 men staying back, which will of course also enable here the fullbacks going forward and the width in this narrow formation. Then we're also gonna use here cut passing lanes and cover center, a bit optional, but I like to use these ones as well for my CDMs. But yes, for the fullbacks then, balanced attacking. You're gonna see exactly how this works out in the game. Let's see how this works out. Diamond here, 4-1-2-1-2, so compact in the defense, and always having here 3 men staying forward for these lethal counterattacks. And this is so hard to stop if you're facing here strikers that are very quick as well. Even though this was not the best finish here for Muriel, hopefully you can have some better luck with the finishing. And also that we get this width here. We have so many people going forward, and also the center mids like Nainggolan. Having players like him here, box-to-box players are perfect in this position, and a good cross as well. I love the cross and the width from the fullbacks as well. Look at this, Berchiche here, so much space on this overlap, so much space on this left side. With having these fullbacks unbalanced, and this time also a good pass, but auto block from the opponent here. But still, despite this, we always have 3 men staying at the back thanks to this instruction for the CDM to drop between defenders. And also you can see here in the end the importance of having here a cam with good shooting. Ibrahimovic, what a shot from the Swede. That is amazing. But here comes though the prime example of the diamond 4-1-2-1-2. And that is here with this overlap again from Carvajal. So many people going forward in good positions, in good areas, even though this was not the best pass. But look at this. Look at this now. Barella here dropping between defenders and stopping this counterattack in such a nice way. And instead of him scoring, we're gonna win the ball back here and find a goal ourselves. That is a real beauty. And the 4-1-2-1-2 in its prime. Time for the 3-5-2, which is great this year as well. And when it comes to this one of the keys is to have here wingers that have good defending as well. Players like Gosens and Hakimi, etc. Maybe even Bale. Or at least someone has at least 55 defending, because these ones are going to help out in the defense a lot. But in the attack is going to open up like a flower. And in the defense is going to be super compact here. And we still have this counter-attack triangle up front. But it offers you here also width, and 2 CDMs are going to help out here in front of the center backs. So we can see again custom tactics. We don't have to do much again, but usually when you play 3 at the back, it is a bit better to have a little bit more width, like 6-7, and maybe a little bit less depth here. So we're going to use it like this. And then again, I prefer to just play balanced. And this is actually, you can put this on 2 or 3. That is good enough. Instructions, just the same as we had with the 4-1-2-1-2. When it comes to the strikers, that is getting behind here for both and stay forward for the cam. If you feel like this is a bit hard in the defense, you can of course also have the cam on just here default. This is just of course suggested instructions, but I found these ones myself very useful. And then when it comes to the CDNs, I almost always use 3 here using stay back, passing lanes and cover center here for both. I like symmetry, just like this. I'm gonna have it here super solid in front of these 3 center backs. And then when it comes to the wingers, the key here is to put them here on come back on defense, and that is actually all you need. If you want a little bit more runs, maybe you can try out the getting behind as well. But I find it's just enough to have it on balance it, because they still make some great runs. Yes, in the game you can see how compact this is with having 5 people here in the defense, with the wingers here to come back on defense, and also here 2 CDMs helping out, so 7 men in the defense, and then 3 up front just waiting for that counter attack. This is a good interception by Hakim as well. He has very good defending and is really a perfect here right mid to use in the 3-5-2. Here compact in the defense helping out, and we get some great counters here as well, just as with the 4-1-2-1-2. With getting behind, you see here these runs, and again having here a cam with the good passing is very important. And so many people here on the midfield. You see that we have the ball here and so many options. We can use here the wingers, we can use the center backs, we can use the midfielders. The cam here has so many options, and also of course the 2 strikers. So a lot of options, of course, hard to defend as well for the opponent. Alright, the time for my favorite so far, the 5-3-2, as we also mentioned and covered before. The Italian tactic that is used by many top coaches in Italy. And this one is going to be a 3-5-2 in attack. But you have a little bit more stability with these full backs, and also here 3 center mids. That is going to be very useful here, of course, to use on a midfield, and always 2 strikers up front. And when it comes here to tactics, we don't have to do much here again. We can just leave it like something like this, but since we have here 5 at the back, we can use maybe a little bit more depth. And maybe also a little bit more here for players in box, since it is, after all, a 5 at the back. And instructions here, we're going to use for the strikers, since we don't really have here the initial width. We're going to use here both getting behind and drift wide for some extra width. And then for the central CM, we're just going to use here stay back. He's going to be the anchor. And then cover center is also good to use as well. And for the LCM and for the RCM, you can just leave them here on default. But if you want to have even more attacking runs, you can put them here on get forward, but I find it just fine here on balanced. And finally for the fullbacks, we can use here join the attack to really get this 3-5-2 sensation in the gameplay. We're going to see also how this looks very soon in the game, and having here fullbacks that have good passing is important for these crosses that are very effective. And also here for the CMs, at least the 50 defending here to make it possible to have this 3-man midfield, but they should mainly be good in the attack here. This LCM and RCM, well, this one really should be the anchor, something like Vidal or Ndidi or Party, just a cleaning lady on the midfield. Yes, the 5-3-2 as we're using here mainly on the road to glory, see that it is very stable in the defense also. We have always this these 5 players here staying back, and Vidal helping out here, our central CM, and we're ready for counters as well with center mids and 2 strikers waiting forward and just lurking up front. But the best thing with this one is the width. You get so much opportunities and so much space always for these fullbacks that are going to be on overlap. It is really crazy. They always run perfectly, even better than in a 3-5-2. And from here you're going to have plenty of options also. It's going to be strikers in the box, and also here these midfielders here also getting into a nice position into the box, like we have here. For example, Isak here that plays the LCM. He's going to be also here in a perfect place to score this tap-in after this blunder from the keeper. And then we have a good old here 4-2-2, which is amazing this year again, having 2 strikers always up front, and also here the with the wide cams. And it's also good in the defense, maybe the best defensive formation in the game after 4-2-3-1, which I think is a bit stale this year. But with the 4-2-2 though, you get 2 strikers, and could argue yes that it is a bit defensive, but in the end defense wins you games, and especially these tight games when you're a little bit nervous. Then the custom tactics here, I like to use a little bit more width, maybe 6-7, since we have cams here and not really wingers, to get this extra width. And then the rest is pretty much fine as it is here. 6-5 or something like this is perfectly fine, but you can find of course your own values. Maybe if you like a little bit lower depth, you can just put it down on 4-3 as well, or a little bit more narrow, but I think balanced here is perfectly fine in this game. And then instructions, we're gonna use here again getting behind and drift wide for the strikers to get even more width here for both strikers. And then what you could do also for these wingers slash side cams is to use here get in the box for crosses to get very nice runs sometimes, because they stand wide, then they just suddenly cut in a perfect open place. And this is very nice to use actually. That's gonna give you some nice patterns in attack when it comes to the AI runs. And then when it comes to the CDMs here, just like we said here with the 3-5-2, we're using like this, pass lanes, cover center, and stay back. But if you feel like, maybe if you feel that this is a bit too defensive, you can always try out to have them here on balance instead. That works fine as well. And then for the fullbacks, I think if you have 40 back, you always need here to stay back with the fullbacks, unless you have one of the CMs here to drop between defenders. But like this, always stay back. And again, now we have some in-game examples here from this one, and it's so nice to always have two strikers for these passes here, back and forth. You can find so many nice combinations in the game, but also with these wingers you have so many options here, slash side cams, always 4 people here standing in a nice line, and you can find either for the cross or for this pass to the striker. It's hard to defend this one, of course, when you have so many players running into nice areas. But of course, the main thing here with this one is so compact in the defense, it's hard to surpass here. 2 CDMs, and also here the wingers standing quite centrally, since they are cams and not really left and right mids. And sometimes you cannot really find options because you don't have a cam, which is of course the downside. But what you can do then is try to find these passes between the 2 midfielders to open up here, as we're gonna do here. And from here you're gonna have so much space, and again just 4 men running straight forward into great positions. This is also a great chance, but a good save from the keeper. But yes, a very good formation that is super compact in the defense, and all around here very good to get the whiff. And also of course the 2 strikers, which is great here to use in 21 for the 1-2 passes. And finally we have the 4-4-2, which is maybe my favorite this year. It has a little bit more whiff than the 4-2-2, and is not as defensive since you have 2 center mids instead of CDMs, which will help you out a little bit more going forward and close down that gap between midfield and attack. And when it comes to this one, of course, on the midfield you want to have 2 here players that are box to box, that can both defend and attack. Players like Renato Sanchez or Nainggolan or Modric or something like that. Goretzka also. Player types like these are great, and then custom tactics are a bit same as with the 4-2-2, but you don't need here as much whiff since you already have here 4-4-2 and you have the wingers instead of the wide cams. So this is just fine. I like to use here a little bit more depth and whiff this year to use some high pressure techniques, but again that is up to you. And when it comes to instructions, this one, I love to use this for the strikers, so you can go get in behind and drift wide like we said before, or just get in behind. But this is my personal favorite. And then for the center mids, we're using here cover center and stay back. And then for the wingers, you can just here use the default on all values. That works perfectly fine. But if you want maybe to activate them a bit more in the gameplay, you can also use here instructions like cut inside here for the wingers, and also like for the 4-2-2, get into the box for crosses. But in this case, we're just gonna keep them here on default. And for the fullbacks as well, just as with the 4-2-2, if we don't have here once at the mid on the drop between defenders, then we pretty much must use here stay back, just like this for both fullbacks. Yes, we have the 4-4-2, which is of course a quite attacking formation, and you have these CMs that are a bit more useful, and CDMs in attack you get these very nice overlaps, even when you have them here on stay back. A nice goal from Modric. And also it is compact in the defense, pretty much always here 8 people helping out in the defense. Which makes it here hard to surpass as well. You can see here once again this constellation in the defense. It is hard to get through this, with the wingers here helping out a lot in the defense as well. But always having 2 people here up front just lurking and waiting for this through ball. And this is going to be a sweaty goal, but a nice goal nevertheless. But my favorite thing about the 4-4-2 though is this great whiff that you get with these wingers. And also since the crossing is back in 21, you have a lot of good options here from the wing. 3-4 players here in the box in great positions, and this time it is going to be a nice goal with this driven cross. Yes, these were my top 5 of 21 so far. This is probably going to change going forward. We're going to have some more patches coming. We're going to have some new meta being created as well. But these 5 are fantastic for now, and hopefully also you can find your favorite within these 5 and start to smash your opponents simply. Thanks so much for watching this video. As always, until next time, take care.